which they later learned was an unregistered ghost gun. As the first officer rounds the corner, Stanley appears in frame. The 31-year-old is barefoot, shirtless, and holding that gun. Stanley walks back towards his house, past this unmarked police car, with the second undercover officer inside.
The officer knew Stanley was armed and did not attempt to exit the vehicle or confront him. He then walked directly back towards the officer's vehicle. Stanley pulled out his gun using one hand and opened the officer's driver's door with the other. Evidence shows Stanley pointing the handgun directly at the officer. Fearing for his life, the officer fired his weapon at Stanley.
Stanley was arrested March 26 for an earlier armed robbery and actually confessed. He posted bail and got out of jail that same day. After impounding and searching his car, detectives found evidence and got a second arrest warrant issued for assault with a deadly weapon and illegal possession of a firearm. Chief Mata says the two officers were on that dark street Monday night to gather intelligence on Stanley and were not planning on arresting him or confronting him.
We do surveillance, or we gather information, intelligence, in order to make an apprehension at a later date.
Maybe he could have done a better job to identify himself as a cop in the car as the suspect came down the street toward him.
Reverend Jethro Moore III is the head of the Silicon Valley chapter of the NAACP and was invited to police headquarters this morning. Stanley told his family he felt he was being followed, and the family was fearful of the two undercover officers, and that Stanley armed himself to protect his family.
Your thoughts on Stanley going up, opening up a car door with a gun in his hand?
I tossed and turned with this last night. It wasn't his car. Did the person in the car make a gestation toward him? We don't know. Was the cop sitting with the gun in his lap? We don't know. Those things we don't know, because for the cop to be sitting there, he sure got his gun out real quick too, so.
And there was a sizable protest and march last night here at City Hall of a couple of dozen people. Coming up at 6 o'clock tonight, we're going to talk to the organizers of that demonstration last night to hear what they have planned next. Liz?